Travails of a Single Mother. Just the two of us navigating the shores of life. My mother has been the constant figure in my life, and I am so grateful for her strength and forbearing in single-handedly grooming me and taking full responsibility for the deeds of two parents. Never left or abandoned me as my father, who had gone before I could even remember his face, did. The blaring sirens cut through the night silence with the street lights flickered outside our small one-room apartment in Lagos, Nigeria, the city that never sleeps window as I watched the ambulance speed past our cramped apartment, another reminder that in the bustling heart of Lagos, danger lurked around every corner, where my mother, Adebisi, who worked endless hours as a nurse in one of the busiest hospitals in the city, was out there somewhere in the midst of it. But for me, sleep was a distant memory. Each day, she left before dawn broke. I cannot help but feel anxious for her safety, but I have no choice than to committing her into God's hands, while I in turn helplessly grew faster than my age, found ways of doing my homework without any supervision, ate any leftover food or nothing till she returns most times. She returns long after the sun had set, exhaustion etched deeply into her features. The weight of responsibility bore heavily on her shoulders, and I could see the toll it took, lines forming on her once youthful and pretty face, her laughter becoming a rare melody. At school, I listened to classmates recounting weekends spent at amusement parks or family dinners filled with laughter. Their lives seemed worlds apart from mine, who spent evenings alone, heating up leftovers and finishing homework at a cluttered table, having the only sound the hum of traffic and the occasional shout from the streets below as my companion. As the night approached one fateful evening, I received a call that tightened the knot of anxiety in my stomach and almost made me choke on my breath. "Your mother collapsed at work," the voice said. "She's been admitted." Immediately, the room spun, and the phone nearly slipped from my grasp as I raced to the hospital, speeding down the same sterile corridors she'd walked countless times as it now felt cold and unwelcoming. She lay in a bed, eyes closed, and fall dripping steadily into her arm as she is unconscious of her environment. "Stress-induced exhaustion," the doctor explained. "She needs rest." I sat by her side, guilt and fear wrestling within me. If only I could lighten her burden, perhaps she wouldn't push herself to the brink. After a while, her eyes fluttered open, and she managed a weak smile. "Olu, you shouldn't worry," she whispered. "I'll be fine, my darling." Tears blurred my vision. "But at what cost, Mama? I don't want to lose you. I can't survive without you, Mama. Your health is failing because you work too much." Her gaze softened, and she reached for my hand. "It's been hard out there because opportunities are scarce. Which is why I want you to have a better life and not suffer this way for life." The days that followed were dominated by hospital visits and silent taxi rides home. I began to visualize the cracks in the foundation of our lives, the missed parent-teacher meetings, the forgotten birthdays several years back, family picnics that others enjoy that is a mirage for me, and especially the absence of a father figure weighing heavily on me, but even more so did the realization that my mother was slipping away, consumed by the demands of a job that drained her in every possible way. One afternoon, my history teacher, Mr. Ode, pulled me aside. "You've been distracted lately," he observed. I hesitated before confiding in him about my mother's condition. He listened attentively, his eyes reflecting genuine concern. "Have you considered joining the after-school mentorship program?" he suggested. "It might help to have someone to talk to." Reluctantly, I agreed. The program paired me with Paul, a university student studying engineering. He became a beacon in my otherwise turbulent world, a mentor who understood the challenges I faced. Through our conversations, I began to channel my frustrations into something productive. We worked on science projects, and he introduced me to robotics, igniting a passion I didn't know I had. Meanwhile, after her discharge from the hospital now at home, I urged my mother to consider a less taxing position. Perhaps a clinic closer to home. I proposed. She frowned initially but eventually saw the desperation in my plea. "Maybe it's time for a change," she conceded. She transitioned to a local clinic, although with a less pay, the hours were manageable. Slowly, the shadows under her eyes faded, more time to rest against the overtime hours, and we began to share dinners together, recounting our days. The laughter returned, tentative at first but growing stronger. The absence of my father still lingered like an unfinished sentence, but the improved relationship with my mother filled part of the void. I appreciate her the more and cherish every moment we have together because I realized that while we couldn't rewrite our past, we could shape our future. The negative effects of our circumstances were profound, but they didn't have to define us. With Paul's guidance, I entered a citywide robotics competition. My project, a simple machine designed to assist nurses with basic tasks, won third place. The pride in my mother's eyes when we entered the hall together and I was called out the standing ovation as I received the certificate was a moment I cherish forever.